Hi, I'm Niklas, one of the managing directors of Spectre Automation. Today, we'll take a look at how we enable construction companies with the Spectre software to do 3D site management, improving their way of look-ahead planning, communication, and documentation. We do this for a great variety of projects, so covering high-risk construction, but also industrial or electricity plant construction, and even up to road construction. We are based in Germany, so most of our clients and projects are currently within Europe, but we also have a couple of ongoing projects within Japan. If we take a look at the typical construction sites out there, we oftentimes see quite a large amount of analog processes trying to answer the questions of what is supposed to happen, where and how, in order to coordinate the different people on the construction site. Given this analog information, we typically see quite a lot of redundancy and duplicate work. And that is exactly where, with our Spectre software, we step in. We link the look-ahead planning to the 3D model and thereby allow to automate a lot of these organizational tasks. So starting with the look-ahead planning itself, up to different ways of communication, creating documentation and reports in the process. And in this video today, we will take a specific deep dive into the process of the look-ahead planning itself, starting with an overview of how the software generally looks like, the different ways of options to set up the software, because we're quite flexible in the ways of working. One may decide to do just general look-ahead planning or follow specific principles such as LPS or TACT. Jumping directly into our software, we'll use an easy model here to showcase for this video. Here we can see the main dashboard and the core components of the model, the schedule, week plan, and look-ahead plan. Each of these components can be individually activated or combined, so we can take a look at the look-ahead plan here and can even take a more granular view with different details, whereby all of this information here is connected. So I'm taking one of the nodes in the look-ahead plan, I see it in more detail in the week plan, and see the objects highlighted within the model. We have the menu up here with different pages and settings such as languages, and we have a help center where our customers can see in detail explanations and video guides as well as written guides to the usage of our software, and have access to a direct chat with our customer success managers. Setting up Spectre is actually quite easy and can be self-managed by the customer. Spectre is a cloud software, so no installation is required, and by going to the project setup, users may just be added and they receive a notification to register their accounts. Similarly, in terms of data, they are automated pipelines where the customers may just put their data to upload automatically. A minimum requirement is a simple 3D model in the IFC standard, and in addition to the model, Spectre allows to integrate information such as the bill of queue or calculation data, the construction schedule in a variety of formats, and even point clouds or different PDF plans and drawings. Let's take a look at work preparation and one of the core advantages to doing look-ahead planning with Spectre. In Spectre, the model is enriched by additional information. So let's say if I were to select the slab here for my look-ahead planning, we can see that there's automatically a populated list with the work steps that need to be done for this prefab here. So we would see the mounting of the prefab and, for example, the concreting out, which can be individually planned. And these here are also enriched with information from the model as to quantity, for example, or required resources. And the same also applies to individual objects, but also, let's say, for example, tagged areas or lean areas. So in this floor here, all the rooms where we could see all the different trades that have to go through there to complete this. The information is pre-filled by the work preparation. So if we look over there, this is done at the beginning of the project where we have different groups essentially. Let's take, for example, the prefab that we had before here in the model. We can click here, and then we see this is part of this group semi-prefab concrete slab. We can click on here, see all the objects that are assigned to it via the object cards here. There's an abundance of options to structure these based on the model, and then all objects or areas that are assigned to such a group will have the work steps which are shown here. And here one can specify specific names for the work packages, so to say, assign them with trait groups, and even provide effort values to get the additional information shown before. This information here can be fully created within Spectre, just based on the general model, but it can also be imported from templates, for example, from previous projects that are done, or even include data from an external bill of quantities. Now, let's finally take a look at how actual look-ahead planning with Spectre is done. So I'm opening up my look-ahead plan, I'm going to edit, and then I have the structure here. Let's say we want to plan for the first floor in house A, or even for the second floor, right? I can select anything here. I see that the respective area is automatically selected, and I have all the necessary work steps pre-populated as described before. I can just close the model, work fully with the look-ahead plan, which might make it easier. And then I simply go ahead and say, for example, okay, first upper floor here. Let's say we want to plan our some masonry walls. Let's do it over 5 days. Weekends are automatically excluded unless specifically added or selected to that. I'm saying I'm doing some masonry works here over these days. And I'm also doing the reinforcement for the slab, which is then followed by 1 day where all the concrete works for the slab is also being done. So I'm simply selecting the different tasks here, and I'm clicking on add to add this to the plan. What I'm also seeing already here, there's an undo redo, so I can just go ahead and say, I didn't want to do this, or yes, actually I did want to plan the concreting here. So I have easy functionality here, and I can also mark all of these tasks and move them around if I were to select or want to change my mind that I'm planning this actually differently here. So quite easy interaction. Now, let's say this is the typical work steps which I'm doing per floor, and I want to replicate this really, really quickly to multiple floors. Then of course I also have the option to say I'm marking all of these, I'm copying this. Let's see, we also get a copy clipboard now here shown, and I can just go ahead and say, okay, floor 2, I'm going there. And then it shows us, okay, we actually have all of these work steps needed to be done here as well. And I can go and paste all of them into this here as well. And if I would have some work steps here which would not be available for that floor, then this would be shown here as well, and I couldn't even paste them there. Now, okay, copy and paste works. What if I want to create something that is not pre-filled within the model already? Maybe there are no objects, maybe there is some task that is just out of the ordinary, and I want to specifically create some notes for this because it's just unusual or special task. Then of course I can also do that. Go to new entry, so I don't even need all of these pre-filled work steps, and I can just create any task here. If I will, I can even assign it to the specific traits if I want to. Just going to leave this out now. I can specify additional information and just create it here. Now we can see I also have any task within my model. Having completed our first look-ahead planning, let's look at the flexibility that Spectre now offers. We are saving our changes, and if I'm looking at the structure, we can see that currently I've selected the building and then the story. But maybe our project has a different structure. Maybe we say, okay, typically we have our trades in individual rows here, and then we can select this, or we maybe have even our trades listed first, and then we can see, okay, what trades do we have, in which area and floors are they working, and we can even collapse the nodes here if we want to see it more concise. So complete flexibility in adapting to the necessary project structure here. Of course, we can also adjust the information which is shown on the nodes. So let's say I want to also see the personnel typically on the nodes here, and maybe the quantities, because these are all intelligent nodes. They are linked to the model. I have the option to display any information here as well. I can then resize it if I'm saying this becomes actually too small to read, or I want to look at a larger point in time, and I have complete flexibility to choose the amount displayed, or the amount of time which is displayed here. And then everything here, as said, is connected to the model. So I'm selecting the individual nodes here. I can see which is planned for which area, and which is where the information in the background actually comes from. Fast forward into the future, we now want to update and document how our look-ahead planning turned out. Maybe we are doing a planning discussion or weekly stand-up. We go again into our edit mode here. And then let's say actually the first 2 weeks, they worked out quite well. We're updating the status to done here. So with a right-click menu where we can make some edits. We can see the different information more in detail, but for now we're simply clicking done. So these works have all been satisfactorily completed, but we now actually are facing an issue starting from week 43. We could simply replan them, but we don't want to do this. We want to document what was initially planned here, right? So I'm selecting these and I'm going ahead and say, okay, we are actually delayed here with the status. Now we are providing a new starting date here from the next week. And there was actually an issue with our subcontractors. Let's say maybe everyone got ill. So I'm confirming this here. And then we can directly see, okay, these tasks were originally planned here. They were delayed. It did not work. And we now have to do them in the next week here. Having completed our look-ahead planning and updating of this, let's now take a look at how we can use this, what we have done here, for effective communication. First, we've talked about the structure here, but we also have the possibility of creating individual filters. Let's say I have a very large project, for example, and I want to specifically talk with a specific trade group, maybe in this case only concrete. Then I can of course filter like this, or I also have the option to say, okay, we only want to select and look at specific floors. Then I can of course filter for specific floors as well. I can go ahead and save these filters. So this would be floor 2, so to say, and then I have them available here, can activate and deactivate them at will. In order to share the information here from the look-ahead plan, we can simply create a one-click PDF export. For this, I actually have to just skip my full-time or full screen mode here. Clicking on the generated PDF, we now see exactly the view that we have in here. So we have a 4 weeks time schedule in here. It prints the exact 4 weeks. And I can use them to distribute this with a time frame that is depicted and the legend to the different people on the construction site. What's more, besides just sharing the LPS itself, Spectre is also used during live discussions on site. So if we combine this with the model, we have different colorization options. For example, the progress colorization, which shows us, I've taken the liberty to pre-fill a lot more information here and update a bit. Where we can now see what is the actual state of the construction site. So everything that is marked in green has been done already. And we can see these other objects here. They have just been mounted and reinforced, so to say, and are now ready for concrete pouring. So for the next construction step here. Similarly, if we want to look and discuss live during a meeting, not just by the progress state, but let's say addressing the individual trades, we can look at how are they moving based on the planning that we have done through the model here. So I can activate colorization by expense type. I again have our legend here and now can click through the days and simply see where what trade group is supposed to work on what specific date. Or I can select an arbitrary time frame here and also go through this on a week per week basis, so to say. And then lastly, in addition, what is also very often done besides the live discussions and visualizations within the model and creating the PDF of the look-ahead plan, we can also go ahead and create, for example, the very typical 2D views of the construction site. So let's say For the section House C, if we were to imagine this as a large project, looking at the 3rd floor for the upcoming week, and we want to create day plans with the objects colorized, then we automatically get this created by our tool, where we then see the different objects or sections colorized according to the trade works. And we could even go ahead, similar to an editor, and provide some additional information such as text, for example, which could then be transferred to all of the different tasks as well, or different days here as well. So provide added detail. And if I were to go to print, again, I'm creating a PDF, which I can then share with the different relevant people to have precise communication here. After we have taken a glance at the different options of how to partially automate and support communication, let's finally take a look at the documentation aspect. Turning on the status here again, let's pick one of these objects here and check out the info box, where we can see that we have an object or section-based automatic documentation. So just by having done the look-ahead planning, all of the tasks here are also documented, and I can see what has been done, what is just being planned, for example, directly also within the model. In addition, we also have the option to generate, again, different kinds of reports, for example, a daily construction report. So if I'm just clicking on here, I can see the tasks that are being planned for this specific day with the different areas, as well as additional information that is pre-filled based on the settings that I have done before. And I can, of course, add information to this, alter the information here, add some comments, or even omit some information, or provide some additional files for documentation, photos, and so on. And once I've done that, I can also go ahead and say log the construction report, which will then actually prevent it from further edits in the future, to make this also proof in the retrospective. And then, since we've done the look-ahead planning, essentially what happens where and when, and provide a status, we can of course also use this for some controlling analytics. So if we go to the charts page, we have some standard analytics here, where we can specify a certain time frame. We can filter according to the different trades. We can filter according to even specific components or sections. Just for the sake of it, I'm putting everything now in here, and now we can see over the whole course of the project, when has it been started, where are we today, how much work has been done on what specific time frame, so where we had some spikes, for example, and in reference to the project overall, how much has been completed and what is, for example, still open. And of course, this information may also be exported as raw data in order to do some other analytics. And with that, let's take a quick summarization of what we have seen so far. Using Spectre for 3D site management and look-ahead planning actually enables to build upon a reduced planning effort by integrating a lot of the upfront existing information and interconnecting this in an intuitive manner. This makes information to share and communicate quite easily, as well as partially automates the documentation processes here. If you are interested by what you have seen, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Just go to our website and book a free demo without any obligation. Thank you for your attention.